We're live.
Okay. Well, hello. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. I am the Gauntlet Gaming Community Manager, and that is an online gaming community I'm part of. I'll do all about that in the spiel at the end of this show, except to say, hey, you should check out it gauntlet-rpg.com because we've got an online gaming convention at the end of October with about 160, 180 games plus panels and all kinds of stuff. So you can check that out. I'll resell it at the end. We are playing Hearts of Wulin, which is a game that I've co-written. It is a Powered by the Apocalypse (parentheses PBTA) game of wuxia melodrama. It is very much taken from the long-running Chinese television dramas that are based on novels, and there's a whole thing there. I'm going to introduce our guests in just a moment, our players. And I just want to say that if you hear us mention X card or do a gesture, that is the safety tool that we have in place for play. It's a very basic thing for issues with tone, problematic content, things like that. So just know that is something that is on the table if you hear us talk about that. So I'm going to kind of work my way clockwise around the four little things here. So Kat, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kat Rambo. If you are a regular on this channel, you may have seen me on the Esper Genesis game or the Rambo Academy classes. A Seattle-based writer and editor coming out next year. Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers, and tonight I am running Young Turtle. Turtle is another tab. She's a outsider trickster. She's a kind of a woman, ornate daggers.
A history of betrayal by your own family.
By my own family.
All right, then let's go upwards to Mike Underwood.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Underwood. I was on the channel last night running a Star Wars game of Scum and Villainy, and I'm back
because so fun.
there is no amount of gaming that is too much gaming, as long as, like all the bills get paid and whatever. But yeah, back-to-back gaming is very fun. And I co-host the Speculate podcast with Greg, aka Arvid Elron, our host here. And for this series, I'm playing Tian Yu, who's also the legendary thief Heaven's Justice. And he is a Bravo/thief. So a little bit of the breaking and entering and detective-y kinds of stuff. And he's the youngest son of a merchant family who was robbed of their home and fortune by a corrupt magistrate. He then kind of learned scholarly and courtly and martial arts from a righteous magistrate, and now he is caught in between family and kind of professional magistrate romantic drama in what is a very fun tradition of what this game is all about, and that's me.
Awesome. And then last but not least, I will call him by his name, Bai Xiaofei, because it was repeated in earnest cries to the heavens at the end of last session.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm Slot_ on Twitch. I do the production for this and do it for a few other role-playing streams on this channel, as well as my own streamings on my channel. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. I'm playing Bai Xiaofeng, who at the end of last session literally just got stabbed through and through from one of our fellow party members while trying to stop her from killing a former fling of his, like a former, just someone who he still has a little bit of affection for. And I mean, like, it's more than that, but
yes,
it's better if you explain everything, because it's it's so much.
So the structure we're going to play today is I'm going to give a summary of events, maybe not necessarily in the best chronological order, but we are going to try and establish the key things that occurred last time. And then normally I would stop then and we would check in on entanglements if they've changed or so on. But I actually think we need to kind of play where we're at a little bit. And if there's a point at which you're like, okay, I think this is maybe where my heart is now. Maybe now I'm adjusting my entanglements. We can kind of do that on the fly, but we'll check in on all of that. So last time our group arrived there in the household of Crystal Flower, and she
Gallant
is
Saber Guardians.
the Gallant Saber Guardians, and Crystal Flower is Zihua, and you were worried because you had heard of a plot being conducted by the Iron Delegates, by Silver Crane. You knew that this evil magistrate was involved in some kind of threat here. And of course, Bai Xiaofeng had been called here to help treat the leader of the Gallant Saber Guardians, who he had tried to treat before unsuccessfully, Lian Hua. She's the clan leader. She's also the leader of the sort of the three allied clans. And there was all kinds of tension going on because Lian Hua's husband, Zemin, certainly resented Bai Xiaofeng's presence, as did Zemin's brother, Eyeless Waterfall, who was a smith that was met on stage. But of course, Ling Hua is the character that Bai Xiaofeng loves and loves him in turn. But that's one of those can't be romances.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on in the background was a meeting of these three groups, the Iron Delegates and the Gallant Saber Guardians and the third, which we haven't named yet, I don't believe, which we'll get on stage, I believe.
But there were also magistrates there, weren't there, as well?
And the magistrates are sort of tied in with this because Silver Crane is technically faction leader for the Iron Delegates. He has sort of a split duty there. A lot of investigation went on, and what was discovered were two crucial things. One was these poisons. There was that was found in an underground passage that led in to get the sense of how the poison was being moved in, of a particular kind, and that gave Bai Xiaofeng an idea of how to do this, and that was something that our illustrious thief, Heaven's Justice, was able to locate last time. And then also you found some concrete evidence that you had pointing to Silver Crane's involvement in all of these things. Evidence that would surely put him behind bars, or at least subject to the Emperor's justice. Big meeting, lots of pushback and pull. Eventually, Bai Xiaofeng goes to treat Lian Hua. Meanwhile, our other character, Young Turtle, is investigating, finds a young man and plies him with liquor in order to get information and get the sense that there's definitely something up with the leaders of the clan. Young Turtle then went to speak with Heaven Justice and found that Heaven Justice was somewhat occupied because his mother was there, and discovered that his mother was connected with Silver Crane, and in particular was connected with Silver Crane's lieutenant, Young Snake. And in the back and forth, Young Snake or one of his agents managed to take the evidence that had been accumulated, and it is now gone. And he was somewhat shaken. But eventually, all of this rolls into the revelation that Bai Xiaofeng has as he's treating Lian Hua, that there is not one poison but two, and that two people independently seem to have been poisoning Lian Hua. Eventually, in all of this, Zemin and eyeless waterfall come barging in. They come with a group of troops from the Gallant Saber Guardians. Young Turtle knocks them down, and the situation gets more chaotic. It is revealed in the course of this that Zemin has been poisoning Lian Hua so that he can be with Crystal Flower, and that he has been pushing on this to blame Bai Xiaofeng, essentially that he is a convenient person to blame for this, that once that marriage is annulled, he'll be able to take up with Crystal Flower. But additionally, parallelly, Ling Hua has been poisoning Lian Hua because she will never be free of the Gallant Saber Guardians. As long as her sister is in charge, her sister will continue to make her a lackey. And she just wanted to be with Bai Xiaofeng. But all of this was not to be. And in the course of all things, Ling Hua stabbed Zemin to death. But it was not Ling Hua, it was Young Turtle.
Disguised
as Ling Hua. And it was at that point that Bai Xiaofeng was able to save Zemin's life. Went to the effort to do that, to save a man who would not save his life. And yet he undertook this. And at the same time as that was going on, Heaven's Justice Tian Yu stopped Ling Hua from killing her sister, managed to keep her from escaping. It was at that point that Crystal Flower fought against her elder sister, and it's at that point that Bai Xiaofeng, realizing what was about to happen, threw himself in the way to stop Crystal Flower from striking down her sister, and instead he took the blade driven through his chest. Even as that happened, we saw Ling Hua gasp and flee, run off, and we saw the clearly dead body of Bai Xiaofeng on the ground. But then a gasp, a breath, and Bai Xiaofeng was alive. Young Turtle, having seen none of this, just knowing that this had all gone terribly wrong, took off and headed off on her own. And that is where we left off last time. Did I miss any key pieces of information there?
That's about it, yeah.
Okay. We take up several days later. Tian, not Zemin, Zemin has been carried away to be treated. Others are injured, carried away to be treated. And you would have had one of the Iron Delegates' lieutenants come to you and say, you should take your friend Bai Xiaofeng to a physiker not on these grounds. There are many here who will bear him animosity for what has occurred. So, if you wish, I will have people sent with you to take him to safety, or you may call for servants of your own.
Do I know, or can I get a sense of this person's kind of attitude toward Bai Xiaofeng? Like, are they going to send people with us so that then the people who want him dead know where he is?
The sense that you get is the sooner they get Bai Xiaofeng off the grounds, the sooner they can calm things down and try to figure out who's in charge now. And that seems to be the central idea. And this person is clearly trying to be as accommodating as he can be.
Okay.
So where would you take Bai Xiaofeng? Do you have a place that you would go to?
I think I could probably take him back to the kind of secret tea house apartment, and then basically tap connections to get someone to come and tend to him. And I don't think he has access to any other kind of really safe or securable space, unless he wants to like carry his friend into the tea house itself, like directly into the tea house, which would not be discreet at all.
But I think you have enough skill to be able to quietly move him in, to cover your tracks, and eventually call a friend of a friend who can provide an herbalist who will come and do what they can and say, your friend will be recovering for a few days. Give him this. Do not give him too much. When he awakes, he may be disoriented.
Okay.
And we will come back to you two. We'll come back to the waking up and what happens and after that. But young turtle, you were in less bad shape. Certainly had 2 elements marked. Suffered some issues in the course of that fight, but also saw a lot of betrayal and turning and so on. What has young turtle been up to in the last few days?
I actually see a kind of young turtle. You see her kind of at first kind of scowling and stomping along and muttering to herself, and then progresses. You see her stop on the banks of a stream and fish for a little, and you see her continue. See some kids flying a kite, and she watches them for a while, and she picks a few flowers and kind of sits there, and then remember that somewhere her brother is hunting for her. Notices people are coming and going down the road, and you see her kind of decide to duck off and actually sort of ducks into the back of a crowd of wandering pilgrims as they go by, and you see her, the crowd.
Okay, so we will come back to you with a significant moment in the course of that journey. Now that I know where you are. Bai Xiaofeng, what was the last thing you remember before the darkness took you?
Cold. Just
Ice cold.
as her fabled weapon stabbed me, I would just feel this weird coldness, and it would just go black.
And you will come to, and you are unaware, you're a scholar, you know yourself, you know your body, you know your mutations, you can tell where the pain are, where the wounds are, and so on. Mm. And you can tell that something has happened, some debility has occurred. This dying, this near death was not without a cost. What is the mark that has been left on you? Is it a scar? Ooh. Is it a limp? Is it some sort of perpetual pain? What is it?
I'd definitely say there'd be a lingering pain, but I also say there'd definitely be, because of the weapon itself is very unique, it would have a unique mark on people that it pierces, and I like the idea of it being discolored because of it. Just like a natural discoloring, or maybe an unnatural discoloring. Is it
like webbing of frostbite or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you've got this mark where you took the blade, and the scar there has not quite healed right, but it looks like it is frozen, like frostbite, and that the edge of the frost on it has there, and it is still cold, and I imagine that the chill takes you from time to time.
Oh yeah, it'd probably be like that for the rest of my life. That weird.
Oh yeah.
I always have that weird chilling feeling in that location.
Tian, what's been your attitude? You've had to watch over your friend for the last few days. Are you anxious? Are you calm and know that he's going to wake up? What do we see on your face when the camera comes back to you?
Yeah, I think maybe we could see a montage. It's almost like time lapse
Mm-hmm.
of Tian. Kind of for the first chunk of time, he's really agitated and is kind of pacing around the room and checking, and occasionally like checking Bai Xiaofeng's forehead and like making sure that everything's in the right place, and like sending down for more hot water, and like kind of almost tearing the apartment apart because he can't settle. And maybe it's like that through the first night, and after maybe eating the second day, he kind of has to start slowing himself down and like taking tea himself and reviewing his notes, and maybe pulling out a scroll and writing down everything that he knows, kind of copying back as much of the information as he remembers from the evidence, not because it will be believed by anybody, but just so that he has all the information at hand. And as he settles back into kind of the investigative scholarly mode, we see him kind of settling down more, and he's still attentive to Bai Xiaofeng, but he's not kind of overwhelmed by worry anymore.
And Bai Xiaofeng, when you look up and you see a kind of becalmed look on your companion Tian's face, what is your reaction? What do you say to him? What do you ask?
I kind of like, I would probably jolt up and put my hands like, and like just start shivering, like really.
Here, take this tea, and I think the maybe the thing that's a constant is that Tian does kind of basically brew tea, so that no matter when Bai Xiaofeng woke up, there would be at least kind of lukewarm tea available with a refresher. And so he kind of passes by a big mug of tea.
I can't like physically grab the tea. You probably have to feed it to me because I'm like so focused on the pain.
Sure. And yeah, especially like if Bai is like shivering, that sword is really something, isn't it?
The rumors are true about that weapon. It's cold.
My friend did everything that they could. What else can I do for you? What do you need to be healthy now?
You have a mirror?
I think you probably have maybe like a 6-inch round mirror, but it wouldn't be kind of up and displayed somewhere. He would go and fetch it, and then kind of try to position it and adjust as Bai requests.
Yeah. You're going to have to stitch this up for me. Use some of the cloth that, if you can grab any. Did you grab any of my medicine, or did you just leave everything there?
I think whatever would have been on him, unless the Iron Delegates kind of stripped all of his stuff, that Tian and the delegates that were kind of trying to make peace would have gathered it up.
Absolutely.
Well, the person that you got these herbs for did the right thing. So we have to seal this up completely. I'm gonna need something very hot. It's gonna be painful. If we don't seal this, it's gonna get infected.
So I think Tian basically gets more hot water, kind of some scrap linens from the tea house, spare, and a bottle of plum wine. And some of the plum wine is for Bai, some of it is for Tian.
Yeah.
And then probably he takes like a sewing needle that he uses to mend his clothes, or to like sew the Heaven's Justice clothes, and heats and sterilizes it over a fire.
This is all, I don't know if this will work, but this sword is unique, and I have to think outside the box. So before you stitch me up, you're gonna have to pack it quite a lot with the herbs, and then you have to sear it and then stitch it up. Hopefully that'll help.
And I imagine you're able to close that wound, but the pain of closing it is...
it's absolutely agony. Agony. It's just, I'd be screaming the entire time. Or you'd probably put something on my mouth, and I would just be biting onto that as hard as possible.
And Tian, I think that in the course of this, the time where you have to make yourself stoic and help your friend, I think you can clear both of your marked elements. We've had enough time. You've given yourself over to doing that. I think you can have to return back to your stable state to be able to deal with this.
Would that also be worth a bond with him?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, let's say that. Let's have you each add a bond with one another. Scene.
Because I think that's a very like, he's taking care of me. He had no like responsibility to really take care of me. But
let me cut back to young Turtle. Young Turtle, there is still the matter of Ling Hua out on the loose. You're still not sure what happened with Zemin. You still have your brother who is out there, and this corrupt magistrate. There are all of these things. But let me ask you a quick question. When someone from the Black Mountain sect finds you on the road, where do they find you?
They find me actually enjoying myself with these pilgrims. We're a rough but motley group. Stop by the side of the road and beg for rice, and then joke and talk amongst ourselves.
And you will see one of your fellows. He bears that sign. He makes the gesture, but does not approach. He stands disguised as a pilgrim at the edges, laughs and speaks with them as well, and takes up rice and distributes out a few coin that he has amongst them, and clearly stands and waits for the opportunity to speak with you.
So as the evening draws near and we see the lanterns begin to light, I'll kind of take advantage of the gathering dusk to slip over and stand near him, next to him, and sort of murmur out one side of my mouth, "Greetings, my brother."
Wow. Well, I suppose we can call brother, since we are here in a place of duplicity, I think. So that's fine. That's fine. Did you have a different name when you were part of the Black Mountain sect? What did they call you?
They called me Yellow Lotus, actually.
Yellow Lotus.
I will perceptibly flinch at the sound of that name.
My apologies. Young Turtle. I take it that things have not gone exactly.
Oh, did we lose him?
Apology. Oh, is that Lowell's side or my side? You cut out for
that
me.
was Lowell. You
Oh,
cut
I'm
out.
sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. He says, things have not gone as you would have wished, young turtle.
Shake my head a little and say, no, indeed they have not. They've right. I don't understand how things got so good.
What I have been instructed to offer you is a chance to come home.
You can see at those words, young turtle is clearly conflicted, and she says, kind of falteringly, "Come home? But what would that look like?"
Times have changed. Your brother is no longer someone of prime importance. Come back to us, rejoin with us, and we will guarantee your brother's safety.
Wait.
I beg your pardon?
Eyes widen as I realize all the implications, and I say, how do I know that you have him?
Oh, no, you misunderstand me. I come not bearing threats. You have evaded our threats before. You have fought off our agents before. Where the time for us coming after you with a handful of people is done. Now it is a chance to bargain before we have to step forward to another level. And your brother carries out his missions. He is hunting you still. But we will not pursue him if you rejoin with us.
I hear her slowly nod and say, as you can imagine, something that I wish to consider. Should I meet you again, I signal my so.
Yes, the usual means, the old classics. The silver token laid in the bough of the tree, the markers on the road, all of the standard things, the ones you know.
Well.
Do not dwell on this too long. Opportunities come and opportunities go.
Just doesn't even have words to speak at this moment, and she just nods, takes a step back in a way, and sort of fades back into the crowd of pilgrims.
And he steps back, even as you're doing that carefully. He clearly, he seems maybe relieved that he's still alive at the end of this interaction with you. And he will likewise fade back, but without perhaps your poise or calm from that. Let's cut back to Tian. Bai Xiaofeng has recovered a little bit. He's mobile. The wound, you suspect, given what Bai Xiaofeng has said, is going to be there for some time. But you don't know what else is going on. You don't know what other matters. I mean, what of Silver Crane? What of the household? What has happened? So what would you and Bai do?
I think once it looked like Bai was solidly out of the woods, and maybe he's sleeping, if that's okay, Saad.
Yeah.
Then I think before it's too late in the evening, so the tea house is still open, then Tian would kind of switch into his Heaven's Justice guise and kind of secure the the hideout as much as he could, and then go tromping about the town to try to kind of scout out the Gallant Saber Guardians headquarters and try and get a read of what's going on.
Absolutely. So I think this is a study move.
Yep. I have my eyes on a special move in this, but I don't have the points for it just yet. So
Okay.
I will go ahead and do that. So I'm going to pull up my...
What is it you want to roll with?
So I'm investigating the game state. Characters. I'm going to roll with wood for patience and curiosity.
Perfect.
I'm going to try and take his time and not let the kind of different currents of emotion kind of wash him away.
Perfect.
And I got 6 on the dice plus 2.
So you have 1 hold. So I'm going to give you some basic information, and then I'll let you use that hold for asking a question or making a declaration.
Okay.
What you will hear is that Zemin lives, but is deathly ill. His brother is beating himself up over what happened. The blame is still uncertain. Many speak of Bai Xiaofeng having been involved with it. Others speak of betrayals. It is true that Lian Hua lives and apparently is getting better, recovering now that the poison is not being dealt to her, and the medication that Bai Xiaofeng left is being properly applied. However, that comes too late. With Lian Hua sick and the others fled or criminal, control of the 3 orders has passed over to the Iron Delegates, and Silver Crane is now master of the factions here in this place.
Okay.
You have 1 hold.
So yeah, just great time all around. Things are looking up for our heroes.
Yay!
Definitely not the belly of the beast.
Everything
section of
went
the narrative.
perfectly
Right.
as is planned.
I think the question that Tianyu wants to answer is, what does he's looking for trace of or rumor about what somebody from that 3rd faction thinks, because he's basically trying to identify somebody that he can go to in that 3rd faction to start to turn the tide.
The 3rd faction is the Ivory Cliff Dragons. They have considered themselves superior and above matters. They've kept themselves spiritually away from these things. That has been historically the progress that they have attempted to keep. That has changed in recent years, but generally they do believe that they can keep themselves above it. And it seems to you, just from reading the situation, that they have decided to go along with this because someone needs to be in charge. These are the matters that have happened. Silver Crane wishes to do it. They have spoken for it, and at this moment there is no one that you know of from the Ivory Cliff Dragons that would wish to seize control.
Okay.
Does that give you a good range to work with?
Yeah, because I think that gives me the position to then be able to say, okay, well, the next thing I could do is try to either find somebody at the Ivory Cliff Dragons or get more rumors about them. So that's definitely a solid step forward. So I think after that, Tian wouldn't want to press his luck too much, especially because young Snake or somebody else could be around, and he would return to the tea house to check in with Bai and hopefully try to talk it through.
Let's check in with Bai, and then let's come back to Young Turtle. Bai, do you wake up while Tian is gone to do something, or do you?
I'd probably still be out.
Tian?
I think I would be having these really weird kind of lucid dreams where it's like a replay of memories, but there's all these just weird changes. Like for example, it's supposed it's supposed to be summer, like during one of the dream sequences, but it's just absolute winter. It's cold. There's like snow falling, and it's kind of confusing by Xiaofeng why he's remembering it like this when he remembers it quite often, quite well. Sorry, as it being summer, and so you see some interesting kind of flashbacks. He gets one where he was sent out to a military camp when there was a factionings were warring, and the emperor sent out the medical corps to tend to all the men, and when this happened, it was a warm summer's day, but everything is just winter, and he remembers seeing all the sword wounds on that, and all the sword wounds are the exact same as what he currently has. And he's like confused there, he can't heal it. Every time he tries to do anything, the wound is still there, and it's just one of those very strange dreams.
Let me ask you this. The figure that reoccurs and reappears in these dreams that you don't recognize, that you don't remember from your memory, but keeps appearing in these dreams, is that a man or a woman? Or something other?
Yeah, something other. It's always either shadowed or something is always covering the face, the body. You only just see swords and the strange mark and the mark of the wound and all that. Like it's completely nonsensical in a way.
And this shadowy figure that moves, that reappears, you don't recognize. Do they bear any kind of insignia or mark upon them beyond the echo of your wound?
Not really. I would say no. They wouldn't have anything. That's the problem. Is that there's no way to really discern.
Yeah, they move around you in this. You can tell.
It's almost like they're in the blind spot, and every time you look there, it's gone, and you just swear it was there.
They have something to say to you, but you can't understand it.
Yeah.
So what would you do after these dreams? After you wake up from, is Tian there at that point, or is the tea house, the room that you're in, empty?
I would say it'd be empty.
Okay.
And I like get up.
You hear the sounds downstairs of them getting ready, the crash of cooking and all of that.
I still feel that weird coldness, so I have like a big sip of hot tea to see if that'll help. Which it probably kind of does and doesn't. It's
maybe for a moment.
Yeah.
And what would you do?
I would probably. So I don't know. I would cautiously open the door to see if there's anything out from, because you're like above the tea house. So would you have like a direct stairs down to the tea house, or would it be like a outer balcony type thing?
I think we established as an outer balcony.
Yeah.
That he could come and go without having to go through the tea house.
So I would go out there and try and get some air. Okay. That's where I'd probably stay.
There are people moving around back and forth there, speaking. It is a warm summer day. The breeze hits your face and warms you for a moment, and then you move along. This day, these people, such normal lives.
Yeah.
Nothing to represent the echo, and
They have no idea what like has just drastically changed for who knows what. Like the balance
You
of
don't
power has just been
know.
shifted.
You have no idea what's happened to Ling Hua.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's happened to Lian Hua. You have no idea what's happened to Zemin. What's happened to Crystal Flower? None of that.
Yeah.
And you wait. All right, we'll come back to you. Young Turtle, you've been approached with this offer. They clearly know you. They've clearly been at least catching some sign of you. You've left your companions behind.
Left my companions behind. I'm a little worried about them, but they can probably take care of themselves. They all seem tense, and you see me actually kind of sort of roadside tavern and drink wine as I'm kind of thinking and kind of arguing with herself, going back and forth, and then finally you see her. And what she has decided is that she must go and confront her brother, bring this all to some sort of conclusion, and no longer live under the threat of seeing her brother killed by her old faction. She's going to go explain things to him finally. Find him.
I think, given between the whole thinking on companions and this decision, I think this counts as inner conflict. So I would like you to roll to see what it takes to kind of power through this.
I am going to use either fire or metal. Earth. I'm going to use, let's see. I'm here because I am as alienated and scattered as this can get.
Okay.
Dice or 2 dice?
2 dice plus the stat.
And 6 and 2.
So 8, so a 10?
6 plus 2.
Oh, okay. 6 total on the dice. I'm sorry. So I will tell you what. You can mark your element, mark your fire, and keep yourself together and go through, or you will have to choose a different path.
Oh. Mark my fire.
Okay. And we will see you trudging towards town.
Rain.
Where would you go? Would you go directly to look for your brother? Would you find assistance? Do you have contacts here? What would you do?
From a tavern, so I think I'm probably going to try and keep the mild buzz on and persuade myself that I'm going to go listen for word of my brother in another tavern where I think there might be some words of travelers coming through.
Okay. We'll come back to you. Maybe we'll have paths cross, and maybe you'll get a bit of the information that so far Tian has picked up. But let's come back to Tian right now. Tian, you found this information out. You've heard about the third faction, our Ivory Cliff Dragons. You return back, and you will see that Bai Xiaofeng has taken himself out of his sickbed and is out there on the landing, on the steps, and still a little shiver to him.
I think like because he's still in kind of the thief guise.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Tian will see Bai Xiaofeng on there on the balcony, and will do his quick change in an alley around the corner, and then come walking into the alley and hail Bai from the street, and kind of not too nimbly, like not too obviously nimbly, kind of make his way up to speak with his friend.
Let me ask this. I know that one of you, I can't remember if it was Young Turtle or Bai, certainly saw Tian be quite gifted with their martial skills last time in a most unusual way. Was that Young Turtle?
That was Young Turtle, wasn't me.
Okay.
Young Turtle, over, yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to put a pin in that. Just remember, so Bai, you still don't know how all that went down, but here is your friend who certainly saved you, Tian.
So, how are things?
There is a lot going on, and kind of for expediency's sake, I'll just kind of relay to Bai everything that I picked up from the investigation, and he just frames it in terms of, oh, I heard this and I heard that and I heard this, rather than presenting it in quite as detailed a fashion in terms of like things that he heard while hanging from an eave or something.
Yes. That seems good.
So the first thing I actually ask is, have you seen Autumn?
No, I haven't seen or heard anything.
What about
nor
Zihua?
Crystal Flower.
Could I ask a favor? I've already done so much for me, but it's one thing I need. If you could find Autumn for me, make sure she's okay.
I'll ask around. Yes, I think at this point we're kind of tossed about in a storm, and I don't know which way is which.
I mean, like, if it was just me, I would probably just leave the city right now, but this affects more than just me.
The thing I have to ask is, what do the Iron Delegates do now?
Well, we have no idea what they're planning. I don't even have any idea how we're going to stop them.
But we do know about the tunnel to their hideout.
There's one thing we do know. Perhaps we could watch that for a bit and see what comes out.
Yes, and there's a few other leads I could follow, maybe speak to some of the magistrates that are not maybe as directly under delegate influence. But first, I'll see if I can find Autumn. It'll be easier if she's here with us. And I think at that, Tian would like kind of talk with the people in the tea house, make sure that they are updated at like Bai is up and about, but he still is going to need, water and.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I have to go and do some errands. If you could, maybe send somebody up every few hours just to knock and make sure he hasn't relapsed.
As you say, we will take him food and drink. Absolutely.
Do you have any packages or anything that needs to be delivered around the city? I might as well take them while I'm going.
Our neighbor, the apothecary, might have some things to be delivered.
Thank you. I will see you later. And he would go ahead and pick up the packages from the apothecary, because, like, the way I see it, part of how Tian is able to kind of make a living is that he's helpful around the tea house and around the neighborhood. And that gives me a prop to work with, maybe as we're traveling around.
So what we're going to do is I want to do a scene with Bai, and then I want to connect you and Autumn together and do that scene. If that seems okay.
Yeah.
Bai, there you are there, relaxing, sleeping. Actually, relaxing is probably exactly the wrong word, but
trying to just
recuperating.
trying to fight through the pain and the chills.
And there is a knock at the door.
And I get up and kind of somber over there and open it very
And
carefully.
you will see there is a striking young woman who I think you may have seen at a distance before in magistrate's robes. Tell me, let me get the proper name here. Tian, when someone sees Magistrate Gao, what is it they notice about them?
I think what you notice about Magistrate Gao is kind of bright eyes that look like they can be noticing two things at once.
And she's a penetrating player, and she's like, "Oh, my apologies. I had hoped that Tian was home."
Sorry. I can immediately tell it's a magistrate based on the
Yes.
kind of looks. I say, apologies, sir. Please come inside. I'm like trying to do it while trying to hide it in my wound as best I can.
She looks at you and she goes, "You are Bai Xiaofei."
Yes, magistrate.
I heard that Tian had assisted you.
Yes. I was attacked, as you can. I was in bandits.
I do not think it was bandits, but I do not wish to perhaps you have misspoken. As I understand, it was quite a calamity in the house of the Gallant Saber.
Sorry, my apologies. That was earlier. I like show her this. I have still got like a scratch mark.
Oh,
from them.
You have suffered quite the set of injuries.
It's been my apologies. I've been trying to recover, and my mind isn't on straight.
Well, here and she says, "Sit. Let me prepare tea and sit down. I apologize for having taxed you in such a way. I'd hope to come and consult with Tian, get his advice, but perhaps you might be a source of the information that I require."
Anything I can do to
not
help.
Require would like. I'm sorry, I'm torn a little on this.
You could always just wait for Tian if you want. You can just sit here and have some tea.
Well, you were on the grounds when this calamitous fight broke out, correct?
Correct. Yes, I was tending to Liu Anhua.
Did you see a masked figure? Would have likely his signature is to go into the raft, move around. Has a great skill with throwing things. Did you see such a person during the conflict?
All I remember is being slammed through a wall, and I as you can see, and I kind of like pull down and show the injury, an accident caused from the ruckus.
She seems like she actually puts her hand up and does that thing where she pushes a little. That
yeah.
She said, "Well, I do not want to pry. It has never been my intent to get caught up in the affairs of factions, but I have been pursuing this rogue named Heaven's Justice for some time now, and
wait,
I had heard
the Heaven's Justice.
The Heaven's Justice, yes.
I've heard of.
Fascinating figure, yes. And I had heard rumor that he had been involved in the conflict, in the battle that broke out amongst the gallant Saber Guardians. Few of the witnesses spoke and described a masked figure that seemed to clamber along the roof. Well, ceiling, really, not roof. Anyway, you get it. It's up there. With ropes and lines, and I wish I could have seen it.
Well, I apologize, Magistrate, but I didn't see anything like that. I was too busy focused on trying to make sure that people didn't die during.
Oh no! I hope. I'm sorry. My request must seem very prosaic compared to the task that you were appointed to, healer.
Do you have like a picture of a drawing?
Yes, I do. And she pulls out one of these sets of sketches that she's clearly been working on of this wanted poster that when any of the audience looks at it, we can definitely see that it's Tian with a mask on. But for any of the characters in here, they can't recognize it. It's this person.
Well, I didn't see anyone specific like that, but during the actual where all the delegates were around, there were various people that can match the description of this person.
Well, I will come back and speak with Tian about this. Perhaps I had heard that he was a guest in the household as well, so perhaps he saw something.
Yeah, perhaps he did. As you see, I was a doctor. He's not a doctor, so I had to tend to people, and I didn't have time to really interact a lot. But Tianyu, sorry, bloody hell. Tianyu is a former patient of mine. That's why he's letting me stay here while I
he is
recover.
Generous of heart and soul.
He's a very generous person. Yes.
Perhaps we will speak again. I hope so.
If you get any better drawings or descriptions, perhaps you can ask me again and see if I remember anything.
Oh, you think a better drawing might jog your memory?
Perhaps.
All right, I will set to that. Yes. To that thing where she starts to kind of walk off into a post there as she's clearly distracted and thinking about that. And then she heads out.
And I'm like, thank you, as she closed the door.
And I think maybe as she walks out, she walks right by a stack of paperwork that has like only one or two things stacked on top of Tian's notes about all of what's going on. Yeah. So she would just like walk straight by it.
Yeah.
It's literally got, like if she grabs any of that, it's like, that person's probably Heaven's Justice.
Yeah, probably got one of those things with the string and the pictures on the wall. Yeah. She just does this. Young Turtle, what kind of tavern does Tian find you in? Are we talking upscale? Are we talking fancy? Are we talking the lowest of the low?
A little on the seedy side. This place has clearly seen. It's run by an elderly couple that are quite cranky. Mostly people are there drinking by themselves and nursing their case against the world.
The furniture has all been clearly broken and reassembled multiple times.
Oh, yes.
There are several shadowy figures in more corners than there are actually in the room, and you are there. How much have you had to drink by this point?
At first, I look like I'm okay, and then you see me lean down to pet the sort of the scroungy-looking dog that's been nosing around the bar, and you can see Young Turtle definitely kind of sways and then catches herself and is back on her seat.
And Tian, are you as Tian at this point when you come to find?
Yeah, I think he is, because if it's okay, I think he would walk in with like a bag that is filled with herbs for a tincture for the owners.
Mm-hmm.
And like because it's this kind of story, like coincidence has brought him on his errands to the right place. Mm-hmm. And so he'd walk in kind of with a bag under one arm, and would young turtle be like readily visible just on a casual walkthrough, or would she be kind of holed up in a corner?
Just kind of holed up in a corner.
And I think maybe he even notices her, but does the errand first, and will give her the chance to identify herself or not, kind of while he's doing the errand and kind of relaying the information from the apothecary, and then turning around and kind of give her another chance to say hello if she wants before he goes over.
Well, and you see her kind of look up and catch sight of him. When he turns around, she'll kind of give a small wave.
Okay. Would she be
almost
kind of
fall over?
Okay. So I think he would kind of match the wave and then turn back to the proprietors and ask for some dumplings to be sent to that table. And he'll go over to join her.
Okay.
And within a few moments, this bowl of weak, leathery dumpling, almost scaly skin, will kind of plop on the table, along with what passes for a soy sauce here of suspect origin.
I think. How are you doing? He would say as he kind of walks up to the table and kind of puts a hand on a chair, but doesn't waits to sit for the response.
Since things are just getting more complicated all the time. Oh.
I always found it easier to talk things through with a friend.
In and out for me there a little.
Sorry. So he says, I always found it easier to talk things through with a friend.
She nods kind of morosely and says, Eddie, gotta find my brother somehow.
Do you know he's in the city?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Is he in the city?
Oh, that's the problem. He could be anywhere. I suppose if I just stayed in one place and made enough fuss, he would come to me eventually, but that seems like such an inelegant solution. Find him first.
We are somewhat already in the middle of a big fuss.
It's true.
And I think at that point, he would kind of take chopsticks and kind of hold up one of the dumplings as if that the dumpling is representative of the big mess that they're in.
And that's exactly what I mean. It's just all be dumpling after another.
But at the end of a long night, food is food, and company is company. And if your path doesn't take you out of the city, well, Bai and I at least are embroiled in quite a lot with all of this Wulin faction business.
The young turtle nod, and she kind of obviously considers and goes off and then recovers herself and then says, yes. That is indeed, it's the right thing to do, and plus that is a big enough mess that sooner or later my brother will wander into it. And then go.
Yeah, and I think as they eat, and kind of Tian would try to subtly, without too obviously, encourage young turtle to eat, even though the food isn't good, just in terms of sobering up. And I'm gonna look up the NPC thing again. So he would ask, do you know anything about the Ivory Cliff Dragons?
The Ivory Cliff Dragons. They haven't popped up recently, have they? Themselves, I don't think I've ever heard much about them at all.
No, they. It seems like they mostly keep out of things, but they back the Iron Delegates, who are now the lead faction here in the city.
Here? Why would they feel that?
What I heard was that they found that present and decisive leadership was better, even if it meant a change. The Gallant Saber Guardian's house is in disarray, and I guess someone decided that the delegates had a vision, some kind of articulated vision, but I don't know what it is, and I worry what that might mean for the city.
See young turtle nodding decisively, and finally she says, "Yes. Well, I suppose then we should stop drinking and down and at the dumpling and go and eat this dumpling and just face things." And you see her; she kind of stabs her chopsticks into it and looks at it and then starts chewing with a kind of determined expression on her face.
I have some plum wine back at my apartment where Bai is recovering. I think that may help wash it down, and we can speak about what maybe is to be done next.
Heartily agree that this is an excellent notion.
And so I think we're set up for the two of you to meet with Bai. Let's take our break here, and we'll come back on Bai and bring the other two in. That seems like a reasonable way to handle it. Does that seem cool with everybody?
Yeah.
So let's take a few minutes so I can brew myself another cup of tea.
All right.
Cool. We'll be right back, folks.
Back. Chat.
I've noticed we've been playing for a bit here. We've had you describe your dreams and talked about things and stuff. I've noticed that a name has not passed your lips in the last hour and a half. That in all of this time that we've been talking, not once have you mentioned Ling Hua.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I'm still processing. I still don't understand why she did that. How she could do that to her sister. I know, but I didn't ask her to do that. She didn't. It's like I just can't believe. I'm more in shock than anything that she would do that for me. Do something just so against my beliefs as well. Be harming people like that.
I mean, do you feel that she didn't understand you, or do you feel that you didn't understand her, or do you feel that maybe it was a miscommunication, or like, just shy?
It's like everything. I can't believe that she would go that far, and she would hurt her own family in order to try and be with me, and can't. I probably need to find her somehow and speak to her about this, because this is.
She figures in both of your entanglements.
Yeah.
And while they may get changed or rewritten, she is the central figure in that.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to that thought, as I think you will hear footsteps, perhaps one less steady than the other, coming up the stairs. Does it seem right back to your apartment then?
Yeah, I think maybe there's like there's a back entrance that will go to like the storeroom, or there's stairs up that go directly to the apartment.
Okay. Then you will see Tian and Autumn return. Autumn, what is your appearance at this point? Bless you.
I still look like one of those pilgrims, but sort of with sort of like Autumn's face recognizable as the in the pilgrim outfit.
So like we kind of walk up to Autumn, and I just have this kind of awkward look at her.
Just turn around and
just stays like that for a while.
Could I please have you roll inner conflict right now?
Yeah, this is an inner conflict. I knew it. Okay. All right.
The good news is you get to mark experience.
I think it would be fun if somebody who's very diligent wants to look at the VODs, go back and count over the course of this miniseries who rolls inner conflict the most, because I'm pretty sure it's Black Shop.
Oh yeah, it is.
All right, so I'm gonna choose. I mean, like, this is gonna be. Would I be technically? I'd also be wounded for this, wouldn't I?
Are you? No. You. We didn't put the wound box. Essentially,
Okay.
we did that as part of the fiction last time. So, you have Earth marked, but you've recovered otherwise.
All right, so I'll do. I'll use metal. I'm gonna go all in metal. Here we go.
Yeah, go. Yeah. I mean, there's almost no chance you could fail then.
Here we go. Roll. I got a 4 and a 2, so that's 6 plus 3, 9.
Now you have a choice. You can run away. You can mark metal. Or if you have a bond here you want to burn, you could take that up to a 10 and hold your ground.
I'm going to mark metal.
Okay.
It also, because I wouldn't be able to fight anyway in my current state. So it kind of works. It works well.
Yeah, it's a good echo of the fiction. So you literally steel yourself and then awkward silence falls.
Yeah, it's like an awkward look for a while, and then
I think maybe would it be okay if Tian breaks the silence?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm about to say something, and then you break the silence yourself.
Yeah, so like Tian kind of is trying to fill the awkwardness with something, and says, please make yourself at home. I'm sorry, it's very cramped. I can, I'll go down and, like he kind of catches himself that maybe leaving the two of them alone is going to be a problem, but maybe he should do it anyway. I'll go down and ask for them to make some food and fresh pot of tea, and maybe we can go over everything and see what the way forward is.
Yeah, that would be great, Tian.
Do you need more hot water or bandages or anything?
No, didn't got enough.
Okay. And kind of he'll turn to young turtle / Autumn and say, what type of tea would you like?
I would like jasmine tea, please.
Okay.
I can tell she's clipping off the words very shortly.
Okay. And like he looks at the bottle of plum wine and decides to not mention where it is, but it's not too hard to find. And then he will extricate himself from the situation, because he realized, like, he kind of got started and realized then that he had cut off by, so he like created this weird caesura of awkwardness and then leaves.
You see, immediately, without speaking, young turtle stomps over to the bottle of plum wine and seizes it and takes it back to her seat.
How are you?
That is how I am.
I don't remember much after being stabbed. Did you get away safely?
A flicker of concern cross her face as he mentions being stabbed, and then she clearly steels herself and says, "Yes, I got away fine. I went. We had a nice time on the road."
I'm not sure. This may sound strange to you, but the events that happened there. Zimin was trying to kill me, and I saw Lingua stab him, but the weapons that Lingua had were not her weapons that I know she has.
Ooh.
Was that you?
Oh. Yes, it was me. It was me in disguise. Like the thing to do at the time.
And so that's the other part of
Big
what you...
swig of plum wine. Go ahead.
So that's the other part of what you do.
To disguise myself on occasion and out in... Yes, it is. It is. Yes, it's a amusing occupation. I go about. I disguise myself. I just. Everyone has things they do to amuse themselves.
How many people have you done this to?
How many people have I disguised myself as?
No, the other one, the other part of it.
Ooh. takes another big swig.
You don't have to answer it. Your grandmother told me about this.
Oh,
I.
Well, I will say this.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. You probably saved my life doing that.
She nods vehemently at that. Yes, I did.
let me cut on that note, that long pause.
Yeah, it's just there's so much to like process and
I think, Tian, you go downstairs, you go to the owner and the owner's daughter, and owner's daughter says, "You look like a man who needs dumplings."
Quite a lot of dumplings. The spicy pork, if you have it.
We have a few, and they do. I mean, they are handmade. They are carefully crafted. The skin is toothsome yet delicate. They prepare that. The sauce is there. They give that to you, and as the daughter is preparing that, you can tell she's waiting. Finally, she kind of hands you the tray, and she says, "So, did you run into Magistrate Gao when she came by?"
I think that probably prompts an inner conflict roll to see whether he drops the dumpling.
I think that's fair.
That's great.
So what am I going to roll that with?
Yeah.
What do I feel like not using tonight?
The good news is you get to mark XP.
I think I'm going to roll with fire because his kind of passion to get them out of the woods is what he relies on to try to steel himself when he's overcome with emotion.
That seems good.
Okay, so I rolled 6 on the dice plus 1 for 7.
You can choose to mark fire, or you can run away.
I think run away would include the dumplings like getting spilled everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna mark fire, and
what do we see on screen to know that you just managed to keep them?
I think what happens is he slips, but he sells it as having gotten something on his shoe, because fire is also creativity.
Okay.
So he recovers and kind of stumbles back, and sells that he didn't hear what the question was, and puts the dumplings in one hand, and grabs the tray with the tea in the other, and says, "Thank you so much," and like scurries away.
She arches an eyebrow. So mark fire, take your XP, which means you're at 8, so you can take something. And that silence hangs there, and then the door comes open with a kind of a clatter, and there is Xian with a great tray of dumplings and tea that he will noisily put down.
All right, so these are the spicy pork dumplings that they make, and they are amazing. But you'll definitely want to take them with the tea or the wine, because they are invigorating. Just what we need to figure this out. And I wanted to pitch something, Lowell, to see if a move might proc here.
Sure.
In the thief move, it says about the foil, Magistrate Gao in this case, magistrate or investigating affiliate who pursues you but passes you information via their bumbling. So I wonder if when she pulled out the sketch some other piece of paperwork might have come out and tumbled onto the stack or somewhere in the apartment without her notice.
I'll let you make a study move, and I'll give you an extra hold.
Okay, cool.
Even if you fail, you're going to get a hold.
Right.
But, yeah.
Who needs those elements? I'm going to roll with... I'm going to roll with metal, which is a +0, so it's just going to be a straight luck of the dice. And that's an 8.
It's an 8, so you have then 2 hold to ask questions or establish a fact, declare a detail.
Okay.
Let me have you chew on that while I ask these two how they react to the incoming food. Does it serve as a break to this, or does the coldness still remain?
I help myself to dumplings.
I was
These are
like about
much
to
better.
offer her one. Like, would you? Oh.
They are spicy.
Yeah. Oh, and we just I think we'd just be devouring it and not saying anything. We're just looking at each other while doing it.
Loudly.
Yeah, you would be eating a lot louder than me.
Sound of chopsticks, that noise there, the chomping.
And I'm trying to do it with my now injured, because like I'd probably say the my normal arm I use is kind of part of the injury, and I can't use it, so I'm using the other arm. It's being very slow, and because you don't train yourself on both sides, so it's a little bit. You would definitely notice that I'm not using my normal hand and all that.
Tian, have you decided your question and or declaration?
Yeah, so I think the first question, and let me know if this question is too strongly framed,
Sure.
or maybe it needs both hold, because maybe it's revealing a detail and then asking a question.
Sure.
What crime do the magistrates think that Heaven's Justice committed that was in fact committed by one of the Iron Delegates?
Ooh. So I think that's a two-part. So what crime is there that has been attributed to Heaven's Justice that you're like, that's definitely not one of mine?
Right.
And I think it is that one of the elders of the let me get the name right here. What I'm going to do. One of the elders of the Ivory Cliff Dragons reported a theft by a masked person. However, when Magistrate Gao went to speak with them, they denied that a theft had occurred, and Gao writes it down. Very suspicious. I think they discovered that something was missing that they didn't want me to know about. What is it that this dashing rogue has taken again? Again, she describes in loving detail.
It's almost like
pursuit
fan
as
fiction.
Extravagant. Yeah, absolutely. This is how I think he did it, you know. And she does say, however, the actual execution of the crime seems much more graceless than Heaven's Justice would have occurred. Could this be a copycat? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You know?
Yeah.
That, yeah. And you want to declare that, like, a detail that you can tell that it's somebody from the delegates?
Yeah, I think maybe trying to think, because Tian has not seen Young Snake has he seen Young Snake in combat at all?
No, because the Pepper got in the way
Yeah.
of that. But you've pursued Silver Crane for some time, so let's establish another lieutenant of Silver Crane. Do you want to pick a name, or should I?
Why don't you pick a name?
Okay. Then we will call them Hungry Eastern Jade.
Do you want me to add them to the NPCs list?
Sure. Hungry Eastern Jade is Silver Crane's person when he wants something unsavory done, something done with Young Snake is his lieutenant for spying and gathering information in the more elegant way. But Hungry Eastern Jade, he's sneaky and skilled, but he is also at heart a killer. It sort of makes you nervous that Gao would be going after such a figure now that you realize that. What's the telltale sign for you that it is Hungry Eastern Jade that did this?
Hungry Eastern Jade. I think that Hungry Eastern Jade is almost like a wolf, kind of chasing prey, and so that at their crime scenes there is like chipping, or like a lot of scrapes along the walls, which Tian suspects is the result of kind of Lin Kuei grapple daggers, or like grapple. You know how you have the things that go over your hand, and then they have hooks in them for climbing? Okay. So Tian thinks it's that.
Perfect. So you as we see you montage, look at this, put two and two together, Sherlock Holmes style, and then we see you look up, and the two of them are seated apart from one another, quiet again, and the tray of dumplings is empty.
So I'll go.
Well, you were hungry.
After being unconscious for a long time, you two tend to have a bit of a big open stomach. You're very hungry.
No, it's good. It will. I think you would know better than I, being a doctor, but I'm told that the strong yang energy of spicy pork is good for restoration.
Spicy pork? Yes. Though I prefer it if it was like a spicy eel, but I guess pork's fine.
Spicy eel, okay. I can ask.
That's okay. It's okay. We don't need it.
No, maybe for tomorrow.
Maybe, yeah. I forgot to tell you before we ate. Magistrate Gao came by and was looking for you.
Yeah,
so from what I understand is they believe that Heaven's Justice appeared or was part of what happened. You didn't see Heaven's Justice there, did you?
No, but it was very chaotic. I came as quick as I could when I realized that I'm not sure that I can even adequately describe everything that happened there.
Yeah, neither could I. So I
think the camera, but just a moment, I think the camera will actually pan over as you're saying that, making this statement about, oh no, I didn't think, we'll kind of pan over to Young Turtle. When Tian denies Heaven's Justice being there and says this, and you saw him fight, you saw the mask, what is the reaction on your face there?
See her, and she's kind of like half and clearly content and full of dumplings, and then all of this, and you see her kind of like head, and she sort of forward, and she looks. Hey, before with a kind of suspicious eyebrow, and then you see her go like that.
I interrupted you but I needed to have that moment.
No, that was great. No,
you
that's
were
great.
saying.
So as I said I don't remember much of it. So Magistrate Gao said she will return. It's a later time. And I think she must have taken it with her. She had a drawing as well, a picture, sketch. Yeah.
Oh well, it's
A drawing of
Things.
Heaven's Justice?
Yeah.
What did the drawing look like?
It was a person with a mask. Had some kind of like a chain in their hand. Well, I'm trying my best to kind of make it so I'm like as clueless as possible.
She'll just lean back and just kind of after one more sort of reflective, huh?
well, it seems like quite a many factions and other agents are converging on the city throughout all of this.
Have you told Autumn about what's happened in the Gallant Saber Guardians camp?
Yeah, I think he would have gone over a little bit of it, but he wanted to kind of be able to recap everybody together. And he would happily do that at this point, to read Autumn in.
Mm. So I asked Autumn, have you seen Crystal Flower anywhere, by any chance?
I have not.
Okay. Need to somehow get to her, let her know that I'm okay. Better or for worse.
I think I could probably pass a message to the Gallant Saber Guardians as long as I found a sympathetic ear to pass something through.
To be
It would
honest,
be a little bit harder to pass a message directly or something written.
after what Ling Hua did, was she there as well? I don't remember what happened after being thrusted.
Yeah, I and Mike don't remember the kind of order of operations of people leaving.
Yeah. While Crystal Flower was stabbing Bai Xiaofeng, she gasped, saw her lover fall, and ran. There was a teaser bit at the end where she was watching young Turtle, but nothing's come of that yet. Rather, watching young Turtle disguised as her.
Yeah, just walking away. So,
Yeah.
So the question is now, what do we do?
Well, we still have the lead of the temple hideout. That's the other end of that tunnel. If we could sneak in to the Guardians' headquarters and take the tunnel, we could reach that temple. Lowell, did the information give a location for that, like where the other end was, or just that it was this thing, it's an HQ and it's at the other end of the temple or the other end of the tunnel?
So you knew that it was a ruined, an old ruined temple was at the other end, and you know where it relatively lies in the city.
Okay. So I would say we might be able to find the temple straight off, but then we would come at it as anyone else would. If we go through the temple, we might be able to, I don't know, catch them in the middle of something. The other lead that I can think of is to investigate the Ivory Cliff Dragons and see what disposition that faction is in, why they're craving leadership, and we're willing to make a change in backing the Iron Delegates instead of the Saber Guardians. But those are the only two real leads I can think of right now.
I think we should find out why the Ivory Fang Dragons are doing this. Part of everything here.
Do either of you know anyone in that faction?
Nope.
Oh,
I think you will hear the sound of rapid steps up the stairs, and then a more hurried knock on your door, Tian.
I think as the steps come up, he kind of slides over to the door first to kind of be behind the door to ambush somebody, and like listening for a call from whoever.
And you will hear Magistrate Gao. Tian, are you home?
And he'll kind of look back, thinking, like, just kind of sorting all of young Turtle's different identities, like trying to remember if the Autumn identity is wanted here, like capital W wanted.
She looks like a pilgrim now, so she has an entirely different appearance.
So I think what Tian would do is, like, again halting and like less together. He would say, "Yes, I can meet you down in."
No, please, I must come in and speak with you privately.
Well, Bai is sleeping, so I don't want.
Will speak quietly, please.
I quickly rush to the bed and like
and he would kind of turn
slot
to Autumn
in.
and say, "Go outside."
just sort of takes a step sideways and vanishes behind one of the window curtains.
Cool. And then he would open the door, and then kind of reverse and be standing in front of like the stack of paperwork that has all of his like spy notes.
Yeah. She steps in. She looks a little more upset than you've usually seen her, and she will say, "Have you heard from your master? Your former master, but your master. Have you heard from him today?"
No, not today. I've been tending to buy and doing errands for the neighborhood. What's happened?
She says, I am very worried. As you know, Magistrate Zhao was trying to keep himself above things. He had some suspicions about Silver Crane, but always held off on them. But in the last few days, he seems to have been pursuing something in that regard, some lead or something, but he would not speak to me of it. I thought that maybe because you had once been his apprentice, that maybe he'd spoken to you, told you what he was working on.
No, we spoke only briefly when the two of you came to the tea house a few days ago.
And she says, I just wish that Hao Zhao would confide in me more. And I think, young turtle, this is probably the first time that you actually realize and put maybe together that your friend essentially is your brother's apprentice.
See young turtle's head kind of bob out from behind the curtain while Magistrate Gao is not sorry, so many of them looking around, and you see her kind of look around and sort of she catches Tian's eye, and then sort of like it just sort of like gives him this sort of cross-eyed look, and then sort of vanishes back behind the curtain.
Well, I will return back. I just had hoped that, I don't know if he is out pursuing some lead on his own, or if something has befallen him. But I know you're out of this line of work and so on. But I thought I would at least speak to you, because I know how much he means to you.
No, thank you. It's very worrying. I couldn't say what he's doing, and it seems like things have become very complicated here with all of what's going on with the factions. And when I traveled with Hao Zhao, he would keep things from me. I think he wanted to spare me the danger.
There is much he kept from us. I asked him about his past, about his family before, but he refused to speak of such things. He mentioned being raised by a grandmother who was a smith, but that is all I ever learned.
Well, I would say the best way to find him is probably to return to the lessons that he gave to me, and probably to you, in working together to work the leads, to look where the shadows lie, to find the false lighting.
She touches her chin, and you see like something you've said has made her realize something. She goes, "Yes, it's a very good idea," and she turns to leave.
I think as she's turning, he kind of stammers out, "Please be careful."
Always. Yes, and take care of your friend. He seemed very chilled earlier.
And kind of Tian closes the door and kind of slumps against it. Takes a long breath. And kind of we'll turn around and kind of nod to Bai if like he's peeking.
Yeah.
And walk over to the curtain and pull it back and apologize to young turtle. I'm very sorry for asking you to hide yourself. I feel like I'm caught in a spider's web, and
I don't even know who you are anymore. So confused.
Your brother bade me to never speak of his work to you.
You've been his all this time? You've never said anything?
He took me as his apprentice under one consideration: that I would keep my friendship with you and my apprenticeship with him separate.
See.
I asked, and I asked again, and he never told me why. When I pushed, he shut me out. I sat on his porch in the height of the rainy season for 2 days after I asked one too many times, and I didn't ask again.
You see her kind of nod stiffly and just clearly is storing this away with her brother. But do you know where he is now?
That is what Magistrate Gao was asking about. I suspect that Silver Crane may have caught on to his investigations. Gao said that she had her suspicions about Silver Crane, which of course we knew were true through his agent Young Snake. And now, and Tian will kind of pull out the evidence or the notes that she left the last time. And now I think that Hungry Eastern Jade may have stolen something from the Ivory Cliff Dragons. And if the delegates are moving so openly now, I can only imagine what may have happened to Hao Zhao if he was caught unawares. Great fighter though he is, anyone can be overwhelmed.
I vote. I think we should go investigate Silver Crane and see if we can find my brother.
I'll help.
Sometimes the only way forward is to snatch that which you love from the fire before it burns. Even if you are burned in the process. And then Tian will kind of gesture for the plum wine. If Young Turtle will share it, and he'd take a long swig himself.
Bye. They were so engrossed. I imagine that was your voice saying, "I'll help."
Yeah.
I didn't hear. Do you repeat?
I'll just follow along, like assume that they pass it, eventually pass it to me, and I try and grab it, like, and try and grab it with the other hand.
Yeah, I think when the kind of when that moment of sharing passes between Young Turtle and Tian, he tries to figure out what he can do to kind of psych them up. And I think the best thing that he can do is to basically lay out what he knows about Silver Crane and to kind of retell as much as he remembers from the evidence that he recovered but then lost, and is trying to be like, yeah, like, here are all these things that we know, and we went to the barge and we were able to get out, so we know one place where they operate, and we might be able to find some of the people who were there, and then through them trace back to there. He's trying to make it seem more possible, so that things don't seem so doomed to everybody.
I think that's a perfect opportunity for you to kick off Comfort and Sport.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and do that and succeed instead of ending up with 4 elements marked. So I'm going to roll with wood based on curiosity, and kind of he follows the trains of thought that occur.
We don't mark it yet. We'll wait to mark it until I saw you mark it. We don't know if you failed yet, so go ahead and roll with wood.
So I rolled a 6 on the dice plus 2.
Okay. So I think that at that point, they can your friends can either clear one of their checked elements, or they can gain a bond with you. And I think this will affect both of them since they're both present. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I think if I would say it's probably up to each character whether they feel like that encourages them.
I'm Young Turtle's going to feel encouraged. Sure.
And by?
Yeah, I mean, like, helping family is probably the most important thing, so if she wants to help her brother somehow, I'm in. And I will I'm gonna actually keep metal marked. And
Okay.
marked. I'm gonna actually
Yeah,
get
well,
another bond with TNU. There we go.
Okay. I think we've hit a point that like that regrouping, that gathering point of our heroes of they've come through some darkness, they've rallied themselves, they know where they need to go next. I think that this is a good place for us to stop as early as it is, because we'll be able to hopefully get Joyce in next time.
Yeah.
You have a couple of really concrete directions to go in, and I'll remind us at the start of next session what those are. And I think that's a good spot. Does that seem okay to you?
Yeah, I guess there's one comical thing I could say is I ask Heaven's young turtle, can I finally stop calling you Autumn now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Autumn by the roadside.
Yes. Wait, do we have to say it for Crystal Flower still? Oh no! Damn it.
There is that, which we will have to figure out. So normally we didn't do the highlighting of the entanglements at the beginning because I think that we had some like those may need to still get reset. So I'm just going to give you the flat 3 XP that you can add on.
So that's an increase for me. So it goes to 1 now. I'm going to increase.
You can take a move from your own playbook. You can take a move from another playbook.
Oh, the moves.
Or you could, raise a stat that you have not already raised. Element. I keep saying stats.
Yeah.
Mike, what did you decide to take?
I took the move Thief of Thieves,
Ooh.
which says when you study a place looking for a way in, on a hit, you find access in addition to any other questions. When you break into a location, roll. On a hit, you enter quietly. On a 7 to 9, you must pay a cost if you're leading in others. Mark element, burn bond, raise suspicions. On a miss, you find yourself in over your head. The GM will say where you went wrong. So, Thief of Thieves plus it takes a thief move, makes for some pretty good stuff, especially if we're going to go infiltrate the Iron Delegates.
You can get in anywhere. That is the thing. Now you are the person who can enter into any place. And I think we should probably do closing statements then. Again, we are a little early, but I think this is a good place. We'll hopefully have our 4th back. We can bring Joyce in, and we've got some direction. We are on session 4. We're the talk was we would go to 6, and we would see where we are at 6. So we are that far along on the course of this story. Kat, where can people find you, and what are you up to?
If people are in the Atlanta area, please check out Multiverse Con, which is coming up in October, where I am the industry guest of honor.
Ooh.
Public appearance for the year, actually. You can always find me online on Twitter as Cat Rambo, on most social media as Cat Rambo. Patreon, if you want to. We just opened a new feature where people can come in and exchange story critiques, which is really cool and neat.
Awesome. And Mike, what about you?
Hi, I'm Mike Underwood. Also, I publish as Michael R. Underwood. I have a bunch of different books out. Folks who are Arvin Elrond regulars have probably heard of my stuff. The thing most appropriate to Hearts of Wulin is a series called Born to the Blade, which is a political epic fantasy martial arts series that I did with Cassandra Kaw, Marie Brennan, and Malka Older for Serial Box. And you can get the first episode of that in ebook or audio for free. We pitch it as Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Babylon 5. I have a new book that will be announced very soon that I'm super excited about, but I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be. Hopefully it'll be before next episode and I can loop back around on that. For everybody who wasn't here last night, I just ran a Scum and Villainy game in the Star Wars universe with Brent Lambert, Delilah Dawson, Mur Lafferty, and Brian Young here on the channel, and you can check that out in the VODs. And it will hopefully come to YouTube pretty soon, and it will appear in the Speculate podcast feed here in the next few weeks, chopped up into a couple of episodes. I had a really great time. Everyone did a fantastic job, and I hope folks check that out. That's me.
Sod?
Yeah, so Sod__ on Twitch. I did the production here again, as well as other various stuff on Arv's channel for other campaigns. And I also participate in like Infinity and Beyond D&D, things like that. I also stream on my own channel. You'll see me here next week for Emberwind, so check that out. And I'm trying to think what else. I'm like this far away from picking Ashes of Time just to get the +1 to Inner Conflict, because I constantly have Inner Conflict.
Oh yeah, it's tempting.
It's so tempting. It's so tempting. But I feel like after what's
again,
happened,
it's one of those ones that you also go, oh well, then maybe I won't fail an Inner Conflict, which is where some cool
but it's
stuff
so
happens.
cool stuff happens when you fail the Inner Conflict. That's what I love about it. I'm feeling like increasing water, because it's attached to awareness, wisdom, and flexibility, which I feel like he's kind of grown a little after this being completely. Like he would have ran away. Like he would have if the TNU and Young Turtle weren't here, he would have just left. He would have just gone straight away. But with those two around, like he's become more involved, because he's used to just going when when there's some kind of turmoil. So I'm going to increase water. So it's going to be +2. That's my decision.
All right. My name is Lowell. I'm the Gauntlet Gaming Community Manager on the community side. The Gauntlet is an online gaming group. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. We have multiple podcasts, including the one that I co-host, the Gauntlet podcast. We also have Fear of a Black Dragon, which is an OSR podcast where our hosts look at old or OSR modules. We also have forums. We have a Patreon that supports our monthly zine codex. And we have, of course, an online gaming calendar with a couple hundred games on it each month. I run and record 3 other games every week. So, for example, this week will be sessions of Amber, Worldwide Wrestling, and Legacy Life Among the Ruins. We also have a online gaming convention, Gauntlet Con, and that is at the last weekend in October. You can check that out, find out more about that at that gauntlet-rpg.com. It's a very cool con. 3 days, we've got like 170, 180 games, guests, panels, all of that kind of thing. You can find out about that there. I'm on Twitter at EDIGE23, and that's about it. So thank you all very much. This is one of the things. Last time we had that huge wave, and this is that regathering of the tide as we come forward and move to the next arc. So yes, I appreciate you all leaning into that, and I think I will stop talking at that point.
Yeah, that was so fun. Thank you. Thanks, Lowell, for hosting this. It's just been great.
It's good stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing
drama.
where it ends. Yes.
It's just like turn screws, twist knives, salted wounds.
Yep. It's amazing. All right, so I'll call it there, guys. I'm going to switch this over to the outro, and thanks everyone in chat. Hope you enjoyed it. See us for the next more Woo-Win next week, next month. Yeah, bye. Woo. All right. There we go. Oh, that was so hard.